Awesome. So, Dan, great to have you on the podcast. So, you come from a family of entrepreneurs and small business owners. How did you get started in business? Like, what's your story?
So my entire family is made up of entrepreneurs. My parents, grandparents, aunts, uncles, cousins. As of when we're talking here, I'm 46. So even when I was like 5, 6, 7 years old, I grew up. My parents owned a store, and then just over time, I managed and worked in different operations or management type of standpoints, positions through different companies from lumberyard industry to pizza places and all kinds of other stuff. So I always think looking back, I probably had a little bit of an entrepreneurial itch just built into me. But then as I got older and into my 20s and then eventually 30s, I realized like I need to just do my own thing. So as of 2012 is when I founded the agency that I own now. And I've had other business interests as well. I owned a sales company before this that I had like 3 sales offices and stuff. So I've done a lot of different things, but the agency is, like I said, I started in 2012 and that's my main focus of what I do today. But to answer your question, I think it was just born and bred into me the more I look back at my past.
Yeah, that's cool. I wonder what that would have been like. I mean, my dad is an architect. He runs a small business, but in terms of like being surrounded by entrepreneurs, I could imagine that that would be, yeah, really interesting and like what a really cool kind of platform to learn from and all of that. Did you find it was kind of easier in some ways to go into business because you were kind of that was your environment or upbringing, or was it still quite challenging?
I'm not sure because I can't see the other side of the coin. So I'm not sure if it would have been harder or less hard. I can say that the company that I owned before this came from my position as a door-to-door sales agent that ended up leading to me owning several sales offices with lots of reps in different cities in the US. So um, I did when I had the sales company, it builds a level of not just entrepreneurship, but a level of confidence and salesmanship and all of that that goes together. So when it came time to do my own thing and I started a consulting firm, long story, but a couple different iterations of my company, FlipSwitch now, that happened before FlipSwitch started in 2012. So when I went through those different iterations, it was a learning curve there and kind of testing the market and different things. And I think that some of that ability and that confidence came from just the sales. When you go door to door, for example, that takes just a lot of charisma and a lot of guts and being able to take a lot of no's and all of that. So I think I probably got more from that than I did necessarily growing up in entrepreneurship. I think the growing up part in entrepreneurship probably gave me an appreciation for it more than somebody that maybe went through college and then decided to start something. Because I know the ups and downs, which ironically is actually the reason I started FlipSwitch in the first place. Um, I started it because I knew how hard it was to market a business, and I saw so many business owners struggling that needed help with, at the time, websites, and then quickly we pivoted into social media as the main form of digital marketing that we worry about now. But I saw the need for it, and I just filled the need, which is kind of like the oldest tactic in the book, right? Like, start a business, you start one where there's a need.
Where there's a
So that's
problem.
what I did. And yeah, and 13 years later now we're tearing it up. But to say it's been easy would be completely insincere.
Mhm.
I mean, there's always ups and downs and all of that. But yeah, I don't know. That's an interesting question that you just proposed there. I don't know what it would be like the other side of the coin.
Mm. No, that's cool. It's interesting. Yeah, I was interested to hear other people's stories and how they get started in business and especially like door-to-door sales. When I was preparing for the interview, I was like, that's probably got to be like one of my biggest, maybe not biggest fears, but like it's up there, door-to-door sales and it's
Right.
something that I'm just like, yeah, like did you find you had fear? Like what was it that led you into door-to-door sales and what are some of the things that you learned from it? Like I imagine you'd come out with like a rock solid confidence in a way because you just get like rejected so often that eventually it
Right.
just kind of you get used to it, I imagine, or you
Yeah.
quit. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. You either get used to it or you quit. That's really true. Um, So that's really interesting. This is kind of a funny story. So when I was in central Illinois, where I grew up, a couple hours south of Chicago, I grew up basically, not grew up, I'm saying like in my early to mid 20s, which I call growing up. I was in Champaign, Illinois, which is where the University of Illinois is. And I was managing a pizza place there and then managed a different pizza place. And they wanted me to be a regional manager. And instead of expanding that role and taking over a couple states worth of, it was Papa John's actually. And instead of taking that over, I quit completely and started a rock band. Well, that led me to eventually moving to Chicago because we were on a small record label and the whole band was supposed to move, but they didn't. So my wife and I was like, I got to get a real job. So this was back kind of pre-social media pretty much. And I was looking through, I don't know if it was Craigslist or classified newspaper, something like old school. And I found this ad for sales and I went to the thing and oddly enough, I just fell in love with it right away. And, and I was really good at it right out of the gate. Like literally closing deals on my training day. And my
Wow.
trainer was like, what is going on? It just came natural. I don't know how else to say it. Uh, so I think that that kind of goes with the musicianship and the performance element. Like in fact, when we did the trainings for door to door, it was like lights, camera, action. You're on set, like, and that's how we did like in office trainings for it. You kind of almost treat it like an acting gig or a musician type of thing. So it all, in hindsight, just goes hand in hand,
Mhm.
which is kind of fun. And it's a story that has woven itself together over the last couple of decades, but something that I would never see myself doing. I mean, nobody sees themselves doing door to door sales. But I ended up being extremely good at it and rose up quickly. I opened several offices, did really well, and then just got out of that industry and started my own thing. So
Hmm.
yeah,
That's
interesting.
cool.
But it all came because of a rock band that ended up not making it, that led me to Chicago, which is where I'm still at today.
That's cool. It's really interesting when life kind of takes these twists and turns. The time we're like, oh, I don't know what this is about, but and then you end up kind of meandering into something. It's yeah, it's funny how things like that happen.
Yeah, yeah, it is.
Do you still perform in a band today, or is that more of like a hobby?
Just solo.
Okay.
So I do, but I do perform quite a bit. I have a show tomorrow night, as a matter of fact. So,
Oh, cool.
uh, and I'm going into the studio this year to come out with a solo album for the first time in, I don't know, 15 or better years. So
That's
that,
cool.
I still scratch that itch, but that keeps me sane when I'm running a company and doing all of this stuff. And I've got three daughters, and it's like that's my release. It's my
Mhm.
sanity. Keeps my sanity.
That's cool. That's cool. No, I'm actually also a musician. I find it's a really cool outlet, and even I think to have that creativity and then to be able to bring that into marketing or social media, I think is really cool. Do you find that your background as a musician has helped in your business, like from a creative standpoint, or looking at things from a different angle than say other people?
I think so. I I think from maybe like a creative graphic design kind of eye, I definitely have an artistic side to me, obviously being a musician.
Hmm.
So I think that the artistic side helps a lot with some of the design elements and just looking at things through that lens. And then I've got the more analytical, I guess, business kind of, you look at things through the business lens, right? The metrics and
Yeah.
CAC and LTV and all the other marketing terms that get thrown around and that kind of stuff. So it's really interesting that you asked that because it is literally two halves of your brain.
Mm.
And I think they kind of meet in the middle for me because I do both and I have to do both. So
Mm.
um yeah, that's you're asking some insightful questions, some stuff that I'm on a lot of podcasts and those are a couple of interesting points that I've never thought about. So
Oh,
kudos
that's
to you.
good. Thank you.
Yeah, that's
My
good.
preparation paid off.
Yeah, and I see the guitar in the background. So
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
that's good.
I sometimes I really do miss like doing live gigs. I haven't done any since moving overseas, but I did a lot when I lived back in Australia and it was a lot of fun. Yeah.
Yeah, nothing like it.
Exactly. Yeah. So okay, and then so how do you see kind of AI changing the marketing landscape? I know you do a lot of you have a social media marketing agency. Obviously, you do other things. But there's, a big surge of AI coming into the space in terms of you've got AI influencers and you've got these different AI tools that are, creating content, and some of them have like an AI OnlyFans accounts, like just crazy stuff is coming out.
Right.
How does that impact kind of the marketing industry that you're seeing?
Well, it's huge and it's not going away. I think one of the things that I'm realizing more and more as I talk to business owners is everybody's treating it like they did the rise of the internet and the rise of social media, which I'm old enough to remember both of those extremely well because they all hit in my basically 20s one.
Right.
So I lived through it fully, and we're seeing it all over again with AI, and business owners are sticking their head in the sand, and they're, some of them are using like ChatGPT for some different stuff, but nobody's really understanding the impact that this is going to have on everybody's personal lives, their businesses, literally everything we do. And so, from my company standpoint, one of the things that we're trying to do and we're doing currently is positioning ourselves as AI leaders when it comes to this, instead of us sticking our heads in the sand, which ironically, a lot of agencies are doing as well, believe it or not.
Yeah.
A lot of them are not keeping up with this, and they're hoping that they can keep all their graphic designers on staff and all, it's like, no, that stuff's changing. So
Mm.
we're trying to be leaders in that area, and we're doing a really good job of it. Um, One thing, I want to make sure that your audience gets as much value as I can dump on them in the short time we have here.
Mm.
One of the things that we're really focusing on is a term that we coined, online content optimization,
Yeah.
which is basically a fancy way of kind of talking about a mix between search engine optimization and AI optimization. And what it means in the short time I have here, because I could go on about this for a long time. Uh, it in Right now, everybody's using Google for the most part to do searches, right? A
Mhm.
few people, and more by the day and week, are using ChatGPT and Gemini and these other tools, but mostly they're using Google, and they're treating AI like ChatGPT as Google still. They don't know how to prompt engineer. They're not putting in long tail searches. Everything's very short, right? So when you and I were talking before we went live, excuse me, I mentioned, um, like if I was looking for an accountant near my home or my business, I might say to Google, give me an accountant, or, just Google accountants near Frankfort, Illinois, which is where I live. Instead, what more and more people are going to be doing, and you're seeing it more every day, is putting in long tail searches that are very deep and very specific. So they might say, give me a list of the top 5 or 10 accountants that are specifically good for a mom and pop business with 4 employees within 5 miles of my business, and rank them based on customer satisfaction and reviews, such as Google reviews. And then you get a list, and then you might say, now revise that list and reorganize it to give me the same results in terms of pricing or schedule availability for that accountant. And it will dig in and find the calendar, and it integrates so well with everything. So people aren't doing that yet, but they will be. And what that means for the business is, instead of the business just having a Google search done and the website coming up if it's a good site, or not coming up if it's not, it's way beyond websites and Google business pages. The OCO, the online content optimization I'm talking about, is going to find everything that the business puts out: social media posts, podcast appearances that the owner was on, like myself, blogs, articles in newspapers, and all of it, and then scrape all of that data and bring back a result that's equally as deep as the search result, or I'm sorry, equally as deep as the search that the person asked in the first place. So the more intricate and detailed the search is, the more intricate and detailed the result is going to be. And we're preparing our clients for that, because we want them to have a huge base of content for people to pull from, or not people, but from the AI agents to pull from, to give people the best result possible. So
Mm.
it's totally different than anything we've seen before, because we've had Google for the last 20 years and that's what we do. And that's what we know. But this is a game changer.
Mm. I think it's really exciting too. I was kind of talking to someone else about this of, it's the same thing. Like how can you put content out in a strategic way to be on different platforms and to cover different bases so that you're not just putting out content randomly, like being strategic with it, but making kind of like creating more awareness around your brand or your business so that yeah then you have a higher chance of showing up in somewhere like ChatGPT. And even like the specification or about the specificity of content, making things really specific instead of general, so that when someone's like, like you mentioned, like, oh yeah, I want an accountant and I want them to be specialist in the hospitality industry and have, good reviews and be in my location, and all of a sudden like it's super hyper specific to the client. So and then I think, which is a really good thing, because then the more specific the result they're getting, the more likely they are to make a purchase, I think, because they're getting someone who knows their industry, is within 5 miles where they live, all of that sort of thing. Is that kind of what you're finding in this process too, or?
Yeah, and that's exactly right. So you hit the nail on the head. That's what we're prepping all of our clients for, because it's already here. It can already do a lot of this. People just aren't using it at scale yet. As soon as that scales and that becomes the norm, like Google has been for the last X amount of years, then it's a game changer completely for the business. And the ones that aren't ready for it are the ones going to be left in the dust.
Yeah.
So to your hyper specific point, the only way that the AI agents are going to be able to find that content that's that specific is if the business has created content at some point that is that specific, right?
Right.
So they've got to put out so much content to talk about every little nuanced niche aspect of their business, because at some point that's going to be part of that search result. And if they don't, then they're going to be relying on old school ranking, the way Google's been doing it. And what if you're not using Gemini, which is Google? What if you're using ChatGPT or you're using one of these other platforms? How well are they going to integrate with Google compared to Gemini? There's so many questions about that. That's a different story. But the point is if it's not specific, and there's not enough content, like we're telling our clients, you got to post. I mean, come up with like your top 100 to start with of anything that you can possibly think of. Do reverse Google searches for your business and find what, there's tools you can use, of course, that find what people are looking for in your industry. What searches are they already doing on Google? Answer those questions. Create a YouTube page and create a video that answers every single question or FAQ that you can possibly think of in terms of Google search, because it's the second largest search engine, they say. And that's, like another aspect of this whole thing. So there's a lot that goes into it. And I think that's why business owners stick their head in the sand. I think they're very much, there's two sides to it. I think there's two reasons. I'm just thinking this on the fly right now. I think there's two reasons why business owners stick their head in the sand when it comes to AI. One is they don't like change. We don't like change as a business owner, especially, but as people in general. We're comfortable with what we've been doing. So we want to keep it that way. And hopefully if we don't rise to the occasion and use it, maybe it'll go away. And then the other side of that is, I think that people are fearful of AI to a certain degree, and there's a lot of hype, but there's a lot of truth in some of this stuff too. And I think that people are hoping, or maybe not even hoping, that's not even the right word. I think people are thinking that AI is all hype in some cases. Like I've read people tell me like, it'll go away, or it's just the new fad. It's the new phase. And I said, that's exactly what people said about social media 18, 20 years ago. That's exactly what people. Yeah. They did. Yeah. They said it about the internet. I remember, you're younger than me, but I remember when emails came out, people were like, this is stupid. Like, why would I send an email to somebody on a computer when I can just call, or I can just write them a letter, or I can, like, all the different reasons, right? And here we are now, like, what would we do without email, right? So it's just the next thing, but it's, when people refer to it, even like I almost just did right there, like it's just the next thing. I think that kind of dismisses it a little bit, and we shouldn't do that, because this, in my opinion, and the opinion of a lot of people that are smarter than me, this is going to be bigger than social media, bigger than the internet, probably bigger than both of them put together, because it's taking all of that and using that as part of its machine. So in and of itself right there, it's going to be that much bigger, just because it's its own thing, plus it's using the things we already have.
Yeah,
So
it's
it's like
like a
triple.
building block. Yeah, like
Right.
internet squared or something. Yeah.
Yes, that's a good way to put it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, it's an interesting time to be alive for sure. And yeah, it seems like you have two extremes of people who are, like you said, stick their head in the sand. Oh, it's just a phase, it'll blow over. And then other people who are like, oh, it's going to do everything. And it's like the truth, I guess, is somewhere in the middle where it's like, yes, it's can do a lot and it's changing things, but we still need humans. Like it still need the creative element. And so like with people listening, being like, oh, I have to create all this content and, make all these different pages, like, I'm sure there's a lot of overwhelm or stress around like how do we do this and how do we do this in a really authentic and efficient way so that we're not just pumping out generic content. Like what do you what would you say to those people or those businesses who are like, okay, like I get it, I need to be creating more content, but like what's a really good way to do that in the age of AI?
So AI is a great tool for small businesses right now, and any size business. But I speak a lot about small business because that was our foundation and still is our foundation. That's who I built the company to help. Um, but anybody out there that's doing any kind of business marketing, it's a great tool. It's a great way for them to save a lot of time and effort. Especially once they get good at prompt engineering, which is, if you don't know what that is as a listener, prompt engineering is exactly what it sounds like. You're engineering, creating the prompt that you put into the AI agent or engine to get the result out you want. So you get back what you put in. The more detailed and more sophisticated the prompt is, the better your results are going to be. So once people have completely kind of mastered that end of it, which will happen just like everything, it'll become part of our day-to-day lives over the next couple of years. As that happens, people will realize just how nice it is to have this AI agent working alongside you.
Mhm.
Is it going to replace jobs? Yes, a lot. I think Goldman Sachs estimated like 100 million jobs globally by 2030 be
Wow.
displaced or eliminated. Or it was either them or Kinsey Institute. One of them gave that stat. But regardless of any of that, uh, people will change and people will adapt, and there will be new jobs that are created from it. But
Mhm.
I think the part that people need to realize is that it's not a replacement for certain aspects of almost any job. Here's what I mean by that. Yes, for let's say graphic designers, because that's one that I hear about all the time. Graphic designers could, in theory, be replaced by AI. However, there will always be a need for a human being to fine tune and tweak and manage aspects of it, at least for a long time to come. Is it going to get perfect someday? Probably. I don't know. Where you just tell it what you want. It's exactly inside your brain. It comes out the exact way you want. Yeah, probably, because that's how it's growing right now. But there will always be the need, in my opinion, for a human to be involved at some level, especially just because of nothing else. We're humans and we want humanity. We want some level of human interaction involved in our business dealings, in our personal lives. Um, that being said, if there's 5 or 10 graphic designers working somewhere, there will probably be one, right? Maybe two. I'm not saying it's not going to do some serious damage in certain industries, but I do think that it will make the cream rise to the top. The best of the best will become the AI managers for their company, whereas they were doing the work before. Now they're managing the AI that does it, things like that. But I talk about this with teachers all the time in education. Um, I truly believe, and we're already seeing schools that are doing this, replacing teachers per se with AI. And the AI works at the speed of the child, and it reads the way the child learns and teaches the child in a way that only that AI could kind of teach them, so to speak. Like the teacher might go do that, but they can't do it one-on-one across the room.
Mhm.
So every kid's got a laptop. It's teaching them in real time. If they can't figure out a problem, it finds a different way to teach them. If that still doesn't work, it finds a different way to teach them. And then when it finally figures it out, now it knows, and now it applies that kind of to other things. So they're doing this. There's some schools that are doing this, and the kids are coming out with like the highest SAT scores you can get, like crazy scores off the charts, and they're super happy. And it's all being done in like 2 or 3 hours a day. And then the rest of the day is spent doing real world things like learning about taxes and changing a tire and cooking and like how
Right.
to buy a home, and credit
Hard
scores, all the
skills.
stuff that the stuff they should really teach you before you
Yeah.
graduate.
How to budget.
That's a, yes, that is a
Right.
whole different
Yeah.
topic I like to talk about. But to my point, that it's not necessarily going to replace a teacher. The teacher is going to be an AI manager and be in the room to make sure the kids aren't killing each other and all that stuff. But are they going to be standing at a whiteboard drawing or standing at a chalkboard with chalk? No, it's going to look different and feel different, and the kids are going to get a way better education because it's customized, specific to their needs at their speed of learning. If they don't get something, it rewinds and does it again.
Hmm.
Whereas right now, teachers have to kind of move on. They've got to just go with the speed because they have to get through the curriculum at a certain pace.
Right. For all the kids.
Um,
Yeah.
so that example is kind of, I think, congruent with everything that's going to happen. I think that it's going to just change society in a way that streamlines a lot of jobs. It will eliminate a lot of jobs. It's going to create new jobs. It's going to do a lot of different things, but we have seen nothing yet. As of the time you and I are talking right now, in July of 2025, um, I would be curious to listen back to this in a year, and it's probably going to be like, oh my gosh, like that already sounds like dinosaur stuff.
Right.
Um, but yeah, it's pretty wild. It's fun, like you said, it's a fun time to live. I think we're going to
Yeah.
see some crazy stuff.
Yeah, I think like I'm often just like, what a time to be alive to be able to experience this and live with this technology and see, like you mentioned, we don't even know where it's going or what the possibilities are. Like we have some idea, but I think it's just going to be, it's very hard to predict and hard to see, what the use cases will be and what the impact will be. But I think there's a lot of opportunity, and part of why I started this podcast is to help people realize like you don't have to be afraid. You don't have to put your head in the sand. Like if you lean in, you learn about AI, you learn about how these tools work, like you're basically, helping your future self, and creating more of that
Yeah.
safety net of like being one of these AI implementation managers, or going into your boss or your company and saying, look, I want to implement this software or this tool or whatever, and really kind of pioneering that rather than just kind of sitting back and being like, oh no, like it's all good. So no, I think it's a really incredible time to be alive if we use the tools and lean in. So kind of speaking on that, like what are some of the ways your company is using AI internally or for automating processes, for content creation? What does that look like?
Yeah, we kind of use it for all the above. So we use it for a little bit of design help on things. Um, we definitely use it for ideas and to extrapolate and expand upon the ideas that we already have. Maybe from a strategy standpoint. So like we have a new client, we want to say, okay, what are let me see if I can think of an example. Or like what are 10 social media topics for this XYZ company and this style of company that have not been talked about at length on whatever social media, on websites, on podcasts, whatever it is. I actually did this for a client recently. I said, listen to every podcast in, I forget what it was. I think it was Australia, where you're from. So I said, listen to every podcast in the US and Australia on the topic of whatever it was, and give me a list of like the top 5 or 10 subject matter ideas or whatever I wanted to call it that have not been, I'm paraphrasing, but not have been basically beaten to death already. Like, there's
Right.
not been 1,000 posts about it. Like, what are some things that we could talk about for this new client that have not been discussed in depth? And it came back with this amazing, ridiculous list. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is stuff I would have never thought about. I didn't even know like some of it existed. You know what I mean? So,
Was this in ChatGPT or deep research
yeah,
or? Yeah.
that was in ChatGPT.
Okay.
I'm big into Gemini and like Google with Gemini Ultra,
Mhm.
and Astra is coming now with its capabilities. There's just so much stuff, but we have probably 10 different tools that we use between ChatGPT, Gemini, and that, and then different video editing capabilities, um, just to augment our existing video editing that we do. It's not replacing it yet. We still have people that go out and shoot video and do that, but there's some basic stuff that doesn't need heavy editing anymore. You
Mhm.
don't have to be like a expert in some type of Photoshop or any of that stuff. I mean, it's pretty crazy how fast it's progressing too. I mean, just 6 months ago, it was a different conversation.
Yeah.
Um, Literally 6 months ago, like the start of this year, we were not doing what we're doing now. So
Mm.
pretty crazy. But I think from, like to give your business owner listeners some tips, I would start if you haven't really done anything with AI yet, I would start playing around with it as much as you can, like at least an hour a day. Try to replace Google with ChatGPT or with Gemini. So Gemini has an app. You can actually get the app on your phone and use that instead of just your standard Google search. And certainly for anything that you can, I'm not saying like, where's the nearest Starbucks or things like that. I'm saying like, if it's something that requires a pretty in-depth answer, you can put in as a long tail search query as you want and play with that and see what you get back. And I'll give you an example. My wife and my middle daughter were going on a mother-daughter little overnight trip, and they were going to a town that's north of here called Gurnee. And I said, "Give me a list of the 5 or 10 hotels within 1 mile of Gurnee that are within this price range. Rank them based on Google, or I mean, based on customer satisfaction, like Google reviews." And it gave me that list. And then I said, now sort it by price from low to high. And it did that. I said, now find me availability for this night. I need either one king bed or 2 queen beds. And but here, let me rewind. I said, give me a list of the hotels that I just said for a mother and daughter on an overnight trip, and make sure it has the amenities that a 40-year-old mom and a 13-year-old teen daughter would want on a trip. That's the detail that I put in, and it gave it perfectly to me. This one has a hot tub, this one has a pool, this and
That's
whatever.
so good.
Here's the breakfast options. Your 13-year-old will love the waffles. I mean,
The
it's literally like that's
specificity.
what it said. Yeah, the
That's
specificity is
great.
crazy. So then when it gave me all that, then I said, all right, book it. I picked one. I said, book that room, and it did it for me.
Mhm.
And then I said, now find me restaurants within a 1 mile radius of the hotel and rank them based on the same criteria that a teen girl and her mom would enjoy. Rank them, sort them by customer satisfaction, and then sort them price low to high. Find one with booking for, seat reservations for that night, and then book it. And I did it all without really lifting a finger. I just had to speak it into existence. So I'm encouraging business owners and really all of us as humans, just start playing around with it. Start getting so used to it that it becomes second nature to you, because
Mm.
it's going to help you in every aspect of your life moving forward. You're going to have to know it at some point. You might as well get used to it. So just play around with it. Download all the
Yeah.
apps, use it for an hour a day.
Mm. No, I think that's great advice. And I think, especially like the play piece of like, you don't have to go in and build a spreadsheet, or you don't have to go in and write a blog post if you don't want. You could go in and just, like you said, just plan a holiday or plan a trip, or and like just plan a workout, ask some recipes of like, take a photo of what's in your fridge and then ask it for some recipes, like really bringing the play element and like having fun with it. Because the more
Right.
fun that you can have, like we can have with these tools, like the more we're going to keep using them. And, bringing that creativity, that fun, that play, and I think will also help with experimenting and learning these tools, which is really cool.
Well, that's a great example you just gave, like taking a picture of what's in your fridge and telling it to make a recipe for you, give you meal ideas based on that stuff. People don't realize they can do that yet.
Right.
That's the thing. Like, that's the catch kind of to the whole conversation we just had, that the whole thing with businesses, like, they're not realizing the capabilities of this yet.
Right.
They don't know that you can ask it to do something like that. And in fact, I just went and bought a fridge late in 2024, like 8 months ago. And one of them, the top Cadillac of refrigerators that they had, when you open it up, it has a camera, and the camera watches what you put in and take out of the fridge and makes your list based on that and what you did. And I'm like, this is crazy.
That's
It's like,
wild.
I think it was a Samsung fridge, I think,
Mhm.
that has AI built into it. And I was like, this is the coolest
Wow.
thing. Like, it was so cool to me.
And
I wanted to buy it, but
that's cool. It'd be cool if it then like took your shopping list and then like did an online shopping order and then you just pick the time to pick it up or something, which I'm sure it probably can do.
It
Or as long
probably
like
can, or if not, it will.
yeah, exactly.
It,
Yeah.
or you just have one extra step right now, but eventually, like that'll just be
It's
seamless integration.
automated.
It probably already has
Yeah.
it. I'm sure it already does.
Yeah. That's
So yeah,
cool.
that's the kind of fun, like you're talking about, playing around with it. That is the fun stuff that I think I enjoy the most about it, especially in my world where I live in it. Like it's nice to do it for fun stuff and not just work stuff. So
Exactly. Yeah. Push the envelope a bit.
yeah, that's right. I'm always doing that. I'm always trying to see what it can do. Like, let's see how good you really are, ChatGPT.
Well, and this is the thing that I sometimes, because I talk to my brother about this, like the only kind of limit is like knowing what it can do, what its capabilities are, because you can ask it to do like you can ask it anything really. So it's like the limit becomes the idea or how far you can stretch your imagination. And it's like knowing, oh, I can take a photo of what's in my fridge and get it to put a recipe together. Like, wow, like what else can it do? And so like really for me, it's been a practice of asking it, like, what are some really underutilized ways, or what are some things that you can do that people don't realize, and like really like playing and looking and doing it that way too. It's cool.
Well, and to that point, like we're kind of telling and coaching our restaurant clients right now, like you have, you might have gluten-free options on your menu. If you don't have that detailed on your website, and there's no way, especially if you haven't like posted about it on social media or anything else, there's no way for the AI to know that you have that on your menu.
Right.
But guess what? People are going to be putting in, give me a list of 5 or 10 restaurants in Frankfort, Illinois that have a gluten-free menu. And I know this because I have family that has celiac disease. There's a difference between like people that are just, I guess, gluten-free and then people that can't have like a crumb touch anything, right? Like
Like
if
full
totally
feedback. Yep.
yeah, full celiac. So you could put that content out there and be like, we had a celiac pro or anti-celiac, whatever you would say,
Yeah.
kitchen, right? Like our kitchen is spotless. Like we don't cross contaminate. We don't do any of that. If you put that content out there, as
Hmm.
soon as somebody asks, give me a list of non-contaminated kitchens that are clean and don't cross contaminate for celiac disease, whatever terms they use, it will spit that back and give that result to them, but not if the restaurant doesn't already have that content.
Right.
So this is why it's so important to my point about online content optimization. Um, it's more than SEO. It's not SEO anymore. It's online content. It's everything you've ever done.
Yeah. No, that's a really cool point. And so for people who want to know more about you, we're almost on time. Where can they connect with you online and find out more about what you do?
Yeah, the company's called Flip Switch, like you flip a light switch. Flip Switch Consulting Group and Flip Switch Social Media, same company, different halves. Um, we're based in the Chicagoland area, but we have clients all over the United States, and we've had international clients as well. So we can work with most people, but we cover every industry you can think of, from mom and pop to Fortune 500, and everything from restaurants to retail to insurance agents, hotels, you name it. But yeah, it's been really good talking to you. These are the conversations I love the most on podcast. I really totally nerding out on AI stuff. So this was a lot of fun. But yeah, you can find us on all the, Flip Switch. I think flipswitchsocialmedia.com is the best website.
Okay, perfect. Perfect. Well, thank you for coming on and having a chat. It's been really fun. And thank you everyone for listening.
Thanks so much, Alex.